All right. De Blasio is a terrible mayor. And just like in L.A., San Francisco, Seattle, the zombies are running wild, and the quality of life is deteriorating.
How is it that people don't see, Californians are never going to wake up. How is it they don't see this? How is it they keep voting for these clowns when people are crapping on your stairs?
Because they don't vote here in New York. 27% voted in the last mayoral election. And it's a one-party state like California is. The Republican Party's been wiped out, and people have given up. So they just wall themselves off, and it's horrible. It's what is the future. And in L.A., get set for a bubonic plague, because that's what's coming next with all the rats running around. Where do you see what happens there?
They actually, who was it? I've got it here in front of me someplace. One of the Democrats was saying that, no, it's really actually good in L.A. The city is doing a great job with homelessness. Oh, are they? Really?
No, that's a lie. But, this week in San Francisco, the Board of Supervisors, which could be the Board of Supervisors in Havana, that's how far left they are, voted 10-1 to begin forcibly taking some homeless people out and confining them. 10-1. Now, the ACLU, of course, will sue, but that's how desperate people in San Francisco are right now.
I just saw that in San Antonio, we have a bunch of homeless people now from the Congo. And San Antonio is desperate for volunteers that speak French. And I was wondering, you're in the Congo. How much was that air flight from the Congo to Mexico? Who paid for it? How only speaking French did you get across the border? Who paid for that? And now you're on the streets of San Antonio.
Yeah, but there's another problem that some of the Congolese in L.A. say, no, we'd rather go back to the Congo than stay in downtown L.A., so they got to pay for their airfare back. I mean, that's how bad L.A. is. Look, we have an open border, all right, thanks to the Democratic Party, open border. So the Congolese and every other African country, if they can get to Mexico, they can come in here because nobody's going to stop them, and they can apply for asylum, and nobody's going to monitor them. Great policy, right? And it's really what's happening in America is I'm just amazed of the deterioration of what I'm seeing. And your question is right. Millions of people have voted for the Democratic Party. I guess they like all this. I guess they think this is good.
That's why the winning slogan in, 1946 or 48 was, "Had enough yet?" That was the slogan for the Republican Party.
In California and New York, that is a good slogan because it's visible.
Yeah.
You can see it, all right, and you still want more of this?
Well, one thing that is starting to be more and more visible is the loss of our rights and the freedom of speech. And I tell you, we lose if these corporations, Facebook, Google, YouTube, all of these big corporations, including Amazon, they're clamoring now for more regulation. That is not the answer. The answer is make them platforms, not publishers. Let them, or publishers and not platforms. Let them pay for all of the lawsuits that the government is currently protecting them from. It's the only thing that will scare them and set things right. And it is legal and the right definition for anybody who edits on their platforms. So we have these guys taking away Steven Crowder, telling Live Action that as long as they don't talk about abortion, talk about negatively Planned Parenthood, or show any ultrasound pictures, they can have access to their platforms, but they have to change their website to exclude those things. We are now getting to a place to where our rights are going away because these are private corporations, and those rights are only really those are for the government. The government can't do these things, but private corporations can.
Well, this is a complicated issue. The Prager University situation was the worst. And Dennis Prager has sued and may win for the banishment that he experienced on social media. And I hope he does win. But the Crowder situation is a little bit different because they're an individual with a platform, Crowder, and I do not know him.
I do.
I've never had any dealings with him.
Right.
The one time that my staff had a dealing with him, he was rude. And I don't care about him, so I said, but don't even worry about it. Okay? But
the principle's a little bigger than your personal like or dislike of Steven Crowder, but
no, I'm just giving you full disclosure.
Okay,
Beck.
good.
I
All
think
right.
you want that from me.
I do. Don't yell at me.
All right, that's
Jeez.
all it is.
All
I
right.
don't care about the man.
I'm sorry you're stuck in traffic in New York.
I have no animus against Steven Crowder. I don't care about him. However, in this case, he was putting a fellow American in danger.
Oh, that's hogwash. That's
Well,
absolute hogwash.
I saw
Do you know this person that he supposedly put
I
in?
don't know him.
No.
but I did
I'm not
see-
saying know him. Do you know what he was posting?
I don't care about bad behavior pointing to other bad behavior. Okay?
Well,
I don't care about that.
No. It does.
So,
It does make
but you correct me. Look, you know this story better than I do.
Yes.
You correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
You're wrong.
And you'll relish that.
All right.
All right. So you got a guy, Crowder, who's got a constituency, and he's nailing this guy who works for Vox as being a bad guy, and he's gay, and he's whatever he is, all right?
Mhm.
So
he calls himself a
he's giving
queen
out
and a gay wonk.
Okay,
But go
whatever.
ahead.
And he's giving out information about the guy. So to me, if I'm running any corporation, and I do run my own, I basically say privately to Crowder or anybody else doing that, look, you may be putting the guy in danger. Let's just knock this off right now.
Bill,
All right,
he
that's all.
let me just say this, because you're not up to speed on this. I humbly say you're wrong, and here's why.
All right, tell me where I'm wrong.
He's done nothing more than what you used to do and still do to people in the media that are wrong. He is a comedian, so he did it a little more flamboyantly. However, everything he said about this guy said about himself. So Crowder was correcting the record on what this guy was saying. He works for Vox, NBC Universal. He has said things. This is an exact quote. Get back to me when you're ready to personally assassinate people I find annoying on Twitter. Then we'll talk. He talks about you have to milkshake people. You have to go out and push them back because conservatives do not have a place. He was looking for this kind of stuff. Steven Crowder, according to YouTube, did not violate any of their guidelines. Quote, after an extensive review of his videos, not one was in violation of their guidelines. Not one.
So then why did they take action against Crowder in the sponsor round?
You're going to love this. You're going to love this, Bill. Let me find it here real quick. I'll find it for you. Here it is. Even if a creator's content, this is YouTube, even if a creator's content does not violate our community guidelines, we will take a look at the broader context and impact. And if their behavior is egregious and harms the broader community, we may take action. In the case of Crowder's channel, a thorough review over the weekend found that individually, the flagged videos did not violate our community guidelines. However, in the subsequent days, we saw the widespread harm to the YouTube community resulting from the ongoing pattern of egregious behavior. We took a deeper look and made the decision to suspend monetization.
What was the harm? Did they define the harm?
No. Here's the harm. People on the other guy's side rose up, the gay community, and said, how dare you not suspend him? He's clearly a bigot. That was the broader harm.
How much of the gay stuff did Crowder do?
Well, what do you mean? The main thrust of every one of those videos was correcting this guy on how wrong he was. But this guy
is wasn't a heavy emphasis that he was a homosexual?
No, in a way, yes and no. This guy is very flamboyant and calls himself the Queen of New York, and I am a gay man, and so that's his shtick. So anything that was done, Crowder took from him and was mocking his shtick, because that's the way he presents himself, and he has no problem. His handle is Gay Wonk, so he has no problem. If somebody calls him gay or heterosexual, which happens all the time to Stephen, he's been called all kinds of things. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but these are things that he actually presents himself as and says. So in mocking and parroting somebody, yes, you take on those traits and you use the words that he himself used. Okay.
Do you know if Crowder gave out the man's private information?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, so
he is against doxing, as we all are.
If I'm a judge hearing the testimony and looking at what you've just presented and seeing that Facebook has only a general complaint, which it can't really zero in on.
Correct.
Then I rule in favor of Crowder.
Correct. And that's the thing. This is YouTube, not Facebook, but it's YouTube. And they said, Crowder is very careful. He knows those guidelines. He's met with YouTube. Tell me, I'm a comedian, so tell me what the guidelines are. He meets with them, he talks to them, and he knows.
Is YouTube backing away now?
Backing away from what?
From the sponsor limitation on Crowder?
Oh, no. It's a done deal.
So is Crowder going to take action of interference with his livelihood?
I don't know. I know he has a team of lawyers, and I hope he does. But why is it that, every single person that enjoys free speech should be joining this effort? Every single person that enjoys free speech. We have to start defending these people who are being marginalized. YouTube is building a digital ghetto. And, Bill, you and I will be next. First they came...
I agree with that because you've already seen it with the sponsor boycotts from Move On and all these others.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So, in the spirit of not allowing people to be punished for their views, I'm with you 100%.
All right, good. Hang on just a sec. Hang on. I'll give you your other point. I've got to break. I'm running so late. Come back in 1 minute. Keep that thought. Seeing that the average American has literally the attention span of a goldfish, let's test it out on Bill O'Reilly. Do you remember what your second point was?
Of course I do, Beck. And you should be ashamed of yourself for impugning my intellect. All right.
I just can't wait to be trapped on a ship with you. Go ahead.
Carve out is this, and both you and I have experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
You cannot, if you are a person who has access to the media, all right, and you speak to a number of people through the media, it could be radio, television, social media, you cannot threaten anyone.
I agree.
Home information, home addresses, phone numbers, whatever.
I think we all agree doxing is horrible. Horrible.
You can't do it.
Yes.
And so if that happened,
did not.
The YouTube people, but the YouTube and Facebook and all these, they should have a printed code of behavior.
They do, right? And they said he didn't violate any of it. That's the problem.
And that's fine. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying that's the carve out.
All right, back to Mr. Bill O'Reilly. Bill, I want to talk to you a little bit about abortion. I saw that President Trump just ended the practice once again of the government using fetal tissue to conduct experiments. And so he stopped it. And this guy I don't think that there is a president other than Ronald Reagan that has kept his promises on the campaign trail as much as Donald Trump. And I've always been bothered by people say, he's another Ronald Reagan. And I thought about it this morning, and I thought, well, in some ways, he's absolutely not Ronald Reagan. He's not the great communicator in the traditional sense. However, I think the promises that he has kept possibly are harder than the promises that Ronald Reagan had to keep. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. It's a hard comparison to make because the society today is so much different, American society, than it was in the 80s. Donald Trump, as you'll learn when you read The United States of Trump, the history book I've written on him will come out in September, has 4 pillars, all right, 4 philosophical pillars that drives all of his policy. 2 of them are economic, 2 of them are social. But you're right in the sense that...
Wait, will you give us those pillars? Would you share those pillars? Or
okay. The first one is the economy. Mm-hmm. The economy must benefit working Americans.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one is immigration, that the country has to enforce immigration laws and can't allow itself to be overrun by people we have no idea why they're here and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is Muslim extremism. You've got to eradicate it from the face of the earth. And the fourth pillar is social in the sense that he believes that traditional conservative Americans must be heard. So that his position on abortion has what they say evolved. One time he was pro-choice. Now he's more pro-life. But it's more about he knows who his base is, and he wants his base to be heard. That's the fourth pillar.
Boy, I agree with all of those pillars. Well, let me go. Can we go through? Can we go through? Bill, in many ways, I'm right where I was with Donald Trump on the way he communicates. In other ways, I'm amazed by him, and I'm happy to say I was wrong. When it comes to the economy, let's talk about the economy a bit. We have the yuan flirting with breaking 7 won to $1, and that will change the world. Many people say that is going to happen. Some people say that it is not going to happen. This trade war, however, is escalating to a kind of frightening place with China. China, to me, is different than Canada, Europe, and Mexico. I know that Donald Trump loves tariffs, but they are beginning to hurt him and the economy. Is he going to see this at any point?
Yeah, he'll see it because his advisors are telling him the same thing you just said. But he believes that he's going to get part of what he wants from China by the end of this month when they have the big summit.
Okay.
He thinks he's going to get a deal with Xi. He knows China's hurting economically. Xi's got to make a deal. He has to.
So are we witnessing here the kind of thing that Reagan did with Gorbachev, to where he was like, no, I'll walk away from the table, knowing that Gorbachev needed that deal as much as the United States did?
It's higher stakes now because Reagan had a much stronger hand to play because Russia really was falling apart and did. China, their army and secret police are very in control.
Yes.
But that may not last much longer if their economy goes down the drain, and that's what Trump is relying on. He believes that the hurt that the United States is putting on them through the tariffs is going to ripple down and maybe destabilize the whole situation so that she is going to have to make some kind of deal.
What does it say to you that the Federal Reserve said they're going to bring rates down possibly to zero?
Well, they knew that the employment report wasn't going to be as robust. So they knew that in advance. So that's why they said what they said, and that's why the stock market came up this week. But the American economy is pretty good. It's pretty robust. Business is good everywhere. The tariffs are short-term pain. I think you had to do them in Mexico because that government simply wasn't cooperating. Now, magically, they got 3 or 4 concessions already on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'll see Trump will say, well, we're going to delay it a little bit. Trump's going to win that.
Yes.
China, not, you can't predict it with certainty, but I do believe they'll get a deal at the end of this month.
When it comes to the social issues and abortion, we have left the station of any kind of common sense. And you want to talk about the power of the NRA. The NRA does not have the hold over the conservatives that Planned Parenthood has over the liberals. I mean, it's amazing how if you step out of line at all.
Beck, it isn't Planned Parenthood.
Who is it?
The hold over the left is the media. All right? So this is a very disturbing issue because the last time we talked about it, I said to all of your listeners, this is life, death. All right? This isn't about global warming. It's not about how we should treat Mexico. This is people dying.
Today.
Now, okay, then you're going to get pushed back and say, okay, O'Reilly, it's not a person until whatever date you want to come up with. Well, okay, but I'm not smart enough to know that. All right? I can't say to somebody, you're not a person. All right? When there's DNA, human DNA on conception. I don't want to die and have to be judged by a statement that I make about human life.
And the amazing thing about this, hang on just a sec, Bill. The amazing thing about this is it's moving in the opposite direction of the left. So, when the founders were around, they talked about abortion a lot, and they said it was at the moment of the quickening. And the quickening is when you felt that first kick. That's when you knew it was a baby, and that's when you'd get nailed if you killed that baby. Well, that's the way it was because they had no other technology. Then it was, as long as they're viable. But that keeps going the opposite direction. So they're not more of a baby today.
Beck, most Americans agree with you and me that this is a procedure that should be rare.
Yes.
Okay? Every poll says that. But the media is so vehemently, so arrogantly driving this. The head of Disney, Robert Iger, one of the most powerful men in the country, is telling the state of Georgia, we're not going to do business with you if you pass a law we don't like at Disney.
Good.
What the hell is that? That's where this power is coming from to diminish the life or death discussion. It's coming from Iger and the corporations and the New York Times. That's where Planned Parenthood doesn't have any power, okay? The media drives this. The Hollywood people drive it. CNN and AT&T drive it.
Well, wait. AT&T, I know this example for certain. AT&T drives it because this is Tides Foundation kind of philosophy. They learned in the 80s, we have to have people in the boardroom. So you have these radicals in the boardroom. So it's a Planned Parenthood radical in the boardroom of AT&T and all these other companies that they are positioned there for a reason. So it's kind of, chicken and the egg thing, I think.
Well, it's a very vicious fight. And secular people who don't believe in God and don't believe in any kind of morality based upon life or evil or good, they're going to basically say, hey, the woman can do what she wants. It doesn't matter. It's the woman's decision. And if the woman wants to get pregnant 8 times and abort 8 fetuses, then fine. You know, that philosophy is rising in America. And it's unchallenged because these big media companies will spit you out.
Correct.
They will kill you if you oppose them. And this is the danger that I don't think Americans fully understand. Mm-hmm. Trump can go up against them. But individuals, it's hard. If you're a Hollywood actor and you speak out on behalf of life, you
are
don't
toast.
Work.
Yes.
All right?
Yep.
So this power, the power to negate the life-death discussion, is based in the hands of corporations, and they're the ones driving it.
All right, Bill, I'm going to let you set up your little cardboard box here and say, look at these great watches I have for Father's Day.
Hey, Beck, I know you're jealous of the 8 Killing books with 17 million copies in print. I know you're envious.
Well, no, I'm not envious. I'm always.
Oh, you are.
No, I would love to have. I would love to have your book business. I always think about you saying to me, "What are you doing with all these books?" And I'm like, this is where you can really make some change, Bill. I don't know. And then you go and do it. And you do it better than me, and it pisses me off. Yes, okay, I'm envious. Go ahead.
It is. Father's Day, the Killing books. Go to Bill